It's nice to have you back.
Thank you.
When this whole journey started, I'm sure, obviously, as you said, you wanted to do this with the UFC. To have the option of Netflix and MVP outside of that, how relieved are you that there were people ready to put you as a partner and treat you in the way that you felt you deserved?
I mean, we were entertaining other options. I had found other investors. You know, we could have gone to Triller or Fight TV and other things like that. But when I was connected with Nikisa and MVP and Netflix, I mean, Netflix was always the ultimate goal. I mean, they're the biggest player out there, and it's like the most premium channel or outlet that we could be on, and that's what I think that this fight really deserves. And I think that the UFC made a huge mistake going with Paramount and just taking the biggest check, because they left the biggest streamer in the world with a need that they want filled, and someone else is going to fill it, and the UFC just feels like they're too big to fail, and it doesn't matter. And so then they have this fight of me and Gina, the two biggest names in the sport when it comes to international name recognition. I think a lot of people in MMA don't realize how few people outside of MMA know who anyone in it is. And I've had so many people come up to me and be like, oh man, I haven't watched fights since when you were fighting. I don't even know who any of the champions are now. And that's extremely common. And so because of their short-term greed of trying to like basically hog as much of that Paramount check for the shareholders as possible, they let the biggest fight that in recent history, I mean, or maybe in the history of the sport, go to the biggest streamer that they left wide open for somebody else to take. And now this is going to be the most viewed MMA fight of all time easily, and they just let it go. Why? They think that that they're the only gig in town, and somebody is going to come and fill that void that they're leaving, and MVP is ready to be there and to innovate and to take the risk, and honestly it's not much of a risk.
There's been a lot of talk about Dana White's passion for the UFC at the moment. You see a difference in the way he talks at those press conferences versus for boxing and power slap and all that. Do you feel like his hands are just tied and this is a man frustrated, or do you feel, you know, you mentioned Paramount and the shareholders, has he just sort of won the game? What do you think is the difference in the UFC pre-Paramount and now? I
think it's kind of both, it's out of his hands, you know. It's kind of like George Lucas sold his baby, and now they're doing other things with it that he can't. I think you almost have to emotionally separate yourself so you don't get upset with the kind of things, and kind of, because everything used to be bottlenecked through him. Every little bit of what you saw on TV had a touch of his passion in his eye, and now it's being like everything is being shipped out to a whole bunch of people that are just have no real passion or love for the sport, and are just clocking into a job, and you can see that. And you know, he won MMA. What else is he going to do? Now he's going to go and probably trying to win something else and create a sport out of nothing, like slap or take over boxing. And I think it'd be really, really hard to stay super motivated to pursue, just hit that same note over and over and over. I mean, I switched careers 3 times. I'm surprised he's still doing it.
Last one from me is, you're talking about this, John Jones is talking about this, France has talked about this, and Conor is now saying he's waiting for a not greedy offer. Is this the moment, biggest names in the sport are talking about it, that we finally see some pushback on the UFC and maybe some change?
I mean, I really hope that the UFC sees that the writing is on the wall, and they're going to lose the market share of the sport if they don't start prioritizing the fighters, and not just trying to, like, you know, get away with putting up fights that are basically as cheap as possible, because that's how they keep the most of that upfront check, right? They don't have any incentive to put on the best fights possible. They're not doing pay-per-view anymore. The way that they keep the most of that $7.7 billion is to spend as little as possible, and there's no incentive for them to have the biggest names and the best fights. And yeah, it's the what's it called? The change is coming, and I'm very happy to be at the forefront of it. In fact, I probably wouldn't have it any other way. I can't help it. All right, back here.
Talking about the Carano from the beginning, he's fighter first. Talk about fighter first. What are your thoughts on Hayes coming into MMA and boxing?
Oh man, I think that guy has balls of steel. He ain't that big. I'm married to a heavyweight, okay? I walked up to him, I'm like, you fought a heavyweight? You were fighting heavyweights. I mean, and he's not been an athlete his whole life. He came into it later. I mean, I think he is a promoter that fights more than he is a fighter that promotes. But I mean, currently has the most viewed fight of all time with Mike Tyson, 108 million views, and it is because he understood that that it's not the landscape is changing. No, the divisions are too overly saturated. Nobody has no name recognition, and so these showcase fights are really the future. And he really captured that lightning in a bottle with Mike Tyson, and I had so many people that have nothing to do with fighting asking me about that fight, because it wasn't just about him and Mike Tyson. It was, is the best of the boomers going to beat some punk little zoomer that came up on a YouTube channel and decided to get in shape one day, you know? And it's so it's kind of like youth versus experience, and so many things into it that was more than just that. And I think he's got his finger on the pulse of this business, and that's why I feel like this taking this fight was a no-brainer for him.
All right, thank you guys.
We're gonna swap.